But the idea of teamwork is what I've been working on this summer. And the second law I'm looking into, the idea that we have here for teamwork that is interesting is the following. It says the goal is more important than the role. So one thing that I love is talking about leadership. In my classes, I talk about the leadership for students in their own lives. But once we go in the real world, well, school is the real world. But when we go in the working society or the working life, either as a job or with your own company, what happens is we end up with a chance to try new things and be a leader with our own lives. And we have Zan, the man who just joined. Hello, Zan. Nice to see you today. This is my second IG Live. I've been working towards getting over the worries of IG Live, and as well as sharing my ideas about teamwork. So welcome here today. So the idea, if you want to be a team, you have to realize that as part of a team, you are very important. As a leader of a team, you are very important. But overall, you have to think that the team is there to achieve a goal. There's a mission, something that you want to achieve. And you have to realize that the team as a whole is the best way to achieve the mission. Hello, Swayam. I'd like to see you today. Thank you, Zanderman. Take care. We have the idea of the role is, for example, if you think of a company. A company would have a lot of people working there, and sometimes you have a CEO and all the people at the top of a company. And often the company goes very well, and sometimes we do change CEOs. CEOs go to different companies, we hire new people for new ideas, and the company goes on. And that means that the person at the head of the company is there to have new ideas, but lead the overall team to achieve what the mission is. So at Apple, is to provide an environment for learning and communicating with the computers and their phones. The same thing with, if you think of a school is more than just students in a classroom and teachers and principal in the building. The whole school is a team. It's an environment where you learn, where you grow, where you get to make new friends. And what is interesting is one person is not necessarily more important than the other, but the environment makes it that you are growing as a person. So that is very important. And sometimes when I think of a leader, you think, well, a leader is at the top and tells others what to do. But I've learned as a teacher that leading is more than that. Leading is to get to know the team, get to know the people you're working with, so that you can get the best from them, so that they can grow to the max they can grow. They can learn the best they can learn, and also achieve the best they can achieve. And as a teacher, I do that every day in my classroom with my students. I'm not there to tell them what to do as a dictator. I'm there to guide them so they can learn the best they can, so they can achieve the best they can. And we all know that achievement depends on the teacher, that's true, but also the willingness of a student, or the willingness of a team, the person of a team to participate to grow. So that is something to keep in mind. So as I mentioned, so there were some new people. Just to remind you that I'm reading a book called The Laws of Teamwork. And as I read the book, I'm sharing my thoughts. This is the second chapter, therefore my second IG Live, and I'm glad you're with me. So if you have any questions or comment, as I mentioned, you're welcome to add your question and comments at the bottom. So here, what the book also mentions is when you think of the mission of a team, the question, okay, so what is the mission of a team? Well, it depends on the environment you're in. If you are doing a school project, then your team is the few people with you to make a project to the end. If as a teacher, I'm part of a team of teachers that we want the school to be there for the students. the school board where I work at, we have all the staff together as a team to make sure that we can provide the best education as possible. We can have a president, a prime minister at the head of a country. They can make decisions, they can be at the forefront of what a group is, but they don't make all the decisions. The only way they can be the leader they are is with the team that are with them. So that means a mission, or what you stand for, is very important. So keep that in mind. So here he's mentioned a few things, and I'm going to share with you, and I'm going to add some of my personal ideas, and that's important. So first of all, your mission is important. So one of my goal in life, my mission, is to make sure that I can help people learn the best they can learn so they can make a better world, regardless of what they do. It could be a language, it could be science, it could be writing, public speaking. My idea is we can all get better so we can make the world a better place. And that's what I'm aiming for. Can I, by myself, make the world a better place? No. But through me guiding others, that makes a difference. In your family, it's the same thing. There are many people, many members of your family that together you're making the best environment as possible to grow. So it's not one member more important than others. It's all together. You create the team that is your family. So you have to keep in mind that when you have a team, so here I'm going to be focusing more on team to achieve a mission. So in a company, or if you collaborate with friends, or I don't know, you collaborate with business partners. That's also something to keep in mind. We are at school learning different things, but these skills are transferable somewhere else. So first of all, you have to figure out what your starting point is as well. So that means, okay, I'm part of a team. Now you have to know yourself enough to be able to say, okay, this is who I am, this is what I know, this is what I'm comfortable with, this is what my talents are, and therefore this is what I can contribute. And that's very important. Many of you have decided to go to a university or college or the workplace, and you had in mind something you wanted to do. So eventually you start making decisions with things you are interested in, so that you can contribute with what you have talents in, or what you want to make contribution with. So that's something to keep in mind. Because keep in mind that if you don't know your starting point, well, that means that you've got a person that will try something, and then will try something else, and then try something else. So you dabble in a whole bunch of different things, and therefore you don't achieve anything concrete, because you're trying so many things without focusing on one, that you never become very good at one thing. Now, it's important to try different things so you can figure out what your talents are. Well, once you have an idea of what your talents are, then you have to say, okay, this is what I can contribute, and you need to be proud of that. And I believe that. Now, once you know who you are and what you can contribute, as part of a team, you also need to know what resources you need. Now, sometimes in a company, there might be a budget. If you do research, you might have a research budget. If you are a company, you may have an operating budget so that the company can go on. Or you can ask for investors to invest in your ideas to create something. But often resources can be monetary, could be materials, but your resources can also be the human resources, the talents that people can bring in. And it's part of leaders' talent to figure out what people are good at, their talents, so that you can maximize those talents. At school, sometimes we say, okay, you're good in math, and you're good in science, or you're good in writing. So focus on that, but we want to work on our weaknesses as well. And it's true, at schools, that's what we try to do, to develop who you are. But in the real world, what happens is we focus on talents and what you do well. And if there are things that you don't do as well, then the best thing is to hire someone that have the talents that will balance your weaknesses. And that's why collaborating and teamwork is so important. We are taking the group so that we can together have a better outcome. Keep that in mind. The next thing you have to keep in, oh, and the word that, when I was reading that part about needing resources, the one key word that I've reminded myself was to be resourceful. Too often people will say, oh, if you want me to do this, I need more money. Or if you need me to do that, I need more time, I need more education, I need more this, more that. But sometimes you have to say, okay, is there a way for me to be more resourceful? Because when you start thinking about being more resourceful, then you can try to see, okay, to look at the situation you've got, and then you can sometimes think outside the box. Because by thinking outside the box, you may create a new idea, solve another problem, and therefore grow your business. So I do believe that resourcefulness is probably one of the key talent that is important in the workforce. So the next one I have is that it mentioned, if you want to have a good team, and the mission of a team is more important than different roles, is to make sure that you have the right team members. Now and I mentioned that a little bit on Tuesday for my first IG Live. The right people is always something interesting, because you need to have in your team people that can contribute towards the mission you're aiming at. Now, if you're an engineer, if you're an engineering firm and you want to build a bridge or a machine, you want to have engineers to be able to solve the problem. On the other hand, you may also need some people to be able to draw what you want to create, and that's a different skill set. I know that when I was in high school, I had a friend who was he loved theater. He loved everything that was communicating with others and making sure people were feeling great. And I loved having him in our team, because even though sometimes we had a science project and he had no idea about the science, especially when we were in grade 12 and 13 back in the days, didn't care about science, didn't care about how to put together a lab report. On the other hand, he wanted to make sure that together as a group we would have fun. And in many ways that kept our energy going. And at the same time, he was learning as we were doing things. So at the end, we were together creating an end product. And that person was helping us to have the energy to move on and being happy about what we were doing. And at the same time, that person was learning what we were doing at the same time. So he would share energy to the team, we would share the science behind what we had to do, and at the end of the day, the whole team was working well, and it worked beautifully. So that's something to keep in mind. So we have Evan that is here. Hello Evan, how are you doing? Glad that you could join us today. The next one we can think about when we have a team is the fact that a team needs to have an agenda, needs to follow the mission, needs to know what we are aiming for. And it's important to keep in mind that we cannot really feel that our personal mission, the person that is one person in the team has a personal agenda with what we're doing. Because when team members have personal agendas, it's much harder to collaborate, because people are doing something with the intent, with a personal intent, and not necessarily towards the team, and it makes it harder. Now sometimes people in a team will come, sometimes people in a team would go, but regardless, I think it's amazing to see that if you have a good team culture, if you can put at the forefront the mission that you are aiming for, that will make sure that you can have a team that will achieve what it's aiming for. The next one and the last part is to make sure that once you have a team, you can say, okay, this is the team, this is what we are, this is who we are, and this is the mission we're aiming at. And as we progress, it's very important once in a while to keep an open mind for new ideas for a few reasons. First of all, the mission or what the team aims for gets done. But at the same time, when we have to do work with the team, the work ends, or the contract ends, or the project ends, and what happens is what's next. So if you keep an open mind, with the fact that you are as a team working towards an end result. You're a company wanting to provide a service. But if you keep in mind or have an open mind to bring in new ideas, once you've done something, then you know what you're going to go for. And what happens is you have a team that grows. You can have a team that can scale what they're doing. They can scale because if you have a team with a mission, let's say there's 5 people, and 5 people work very well. Sometimes you may have, as we go along, some ideas that come in, and that team can decide to, we're going to split. 2 people go one side, 3 people go on the other side, and we build a larger team to promote and provide more services, to create more products. And that's the only way a company can move forward. So as you can see, when you want to work with a teamwork, it's important for you to keep in mind that everybody in the team is important, and the mission, what you're aiming for, is more important than the role of a leader or the role of individual people within the team. And I think that is the message I have for you today. And as I see people coming in and out, if it happens that we have any questions, I'll be more than happy to listen or to answer your question. It's always a fun thing to do.